Yo, it's your boy Blash. We out here at C&D Tires. I'm here to talk about the journey with my man Jesus Vargas today. We over at C&D. We're gonna go over here right now and talk about his main journey. Stay tuned. Yo, it's all about the journey, episode 1. I'm here today at C&D Tires, Orlando, Florida. I'm here with my main man, Jesus Vargas. We're finna talk about his man journey. You know, he obviously runs a whole business. You know, he do a lot here. We're gonna get into all of that right now. Jesus, what's good?
What's good, Blash? How y'all doing?
Doing all right. Tell them a little bit about yourself, man.
My name's Jesus, owner here at C&D Tires and Auto Repair. Been in business for about 10, 11 years right now. Journey ain't been easy, but that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into that. So, to start off the interview, let's just start off with the beginning stuff. What age and when did you start working on cars, getting to learn cars? Who taught you how to work on cars and how that go about?
I've been working on cars been around cars since I was about 5 years old.
Right.
Family owned the business back in New York. My grandfather owned the shop along with my father.
What part of New York?
From the Bronx, New York, right there on the corner of AD and White Plains Avenue.
White Plains. So you was born in New York?
Born in New York, born and raised. Came out here, not so much raised. I came out here when I was about 12 years old.
Okay, so you've been out here for a minute.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. And so get into how you learn, who taught you, how your pops taught. How did he get you into working? You was just watching them in the yard. How did it all?
Oh yeah, well, when I was a kid, 5 years old, you ain't really gonna learn much. You know, you're just there, happy to be around your dad while he's working. Mm-hmm. But my first real gig when I was about 14 or 15 years old, working at my uncle's shop. They own a business. I'll shout them out, JV Tires and Mufflers, over on East Colonial and Dean Avenue. They've been in business for about 20, 25 years. So that was my first real gig. Right. Working there on the weekends, changing tires, doing all the simple stuff, doing all the grunt work, the work that the older guys don't want to do. And just kept going from there, man.
All right, bet. And then, who would you say you've been around in auto repair? Like, how many spots you've worked at before you got here? You know, how many times before you got to here, how many places have you worked at?
Well, it's always been for family. Like I said, my first gig up there at my uncle's spot. Then my father left my uncle's spot to open up his own. Mm-hmm. It was after a nasty truck accident. My dad decided not to be driving trucks anymore and decided to open up his own repair shop. That was about the end of 2008. I wasn't in the scene yet. It was really my father's shop. And around 2009 is where I came into play, started working with my father, really working with him, working the shop.
Right. And then the family business, where did all that start? I know you guys are C&D Tires, and I know you told me before y'all was something before that. Let's get into the family business and when that started taking off.
Well,
like your parents and what they started doing.
Like I said, we started in 2008, at the end of 2008, and before C&D Tires, it was called Four Corners Car Care.
Okay, where were you guys located then?
We were down closer to the downtown area, Mills Avenue area. We only lasted about 3 months there.
Wow.
It was a pretty hard time for my father. It was just the overhead was too high, wasn't enough clientele, probably wasn't the right area for us.
Right.
So that was a real hard time for my father. He had to close that shop down, and after 3 months, we couldn't cut it. Okay. In a way, I felt like my father felt like he was letting his dad down, my grandfather, because at the end of the day, my grandfather was the one who put all the money to start this. So my father not being able to last in that shop kind of killed him.
Right.
I remember him coming home one day after unloading the shop for the last time, just breaking down in tears, till this day, thinking that he couldn't cut it. And That's when we opened up C&D Tires. Luckily, we closed shop in November. By January of 2009, we were able to find something else, and that's where Four Corners Car Care ended, and C&D Tires became what it was.
Okay, then. Talk about how C&D, how'd you guys come up with the name? What does it stand for? How'd that whole name come about from leaving Four Corners?
Oh, well, first and foremost, Four Corners was always four corners. The four cornerstones of my father's life is four kids.
Okay.
Me, my little sisters, my two little sisters, and my little brother.
Right.
That's where the name Four Corners Car Care came from. C&D Tires, a little simpler name, it's my mom and dad's initials. Chew and Daisy. Chew and Daisy Tires. Shout out to mom and dad.
Y'all started, y'all had a great son. Keep going.
From there, C&D Tires just went from a small shop, grew into this shop where we're at today, and I feel like that's where we needed to start anyway. Mm-hmm. Sounds cliche, started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right.
That shop that we started off at, the first big shop that we didn't make it through, we were paying about $3,000 a month rent just starting off. Okay. Just starting off. The shop that we moved into, where we found ourselves at, we only ended up paying about $1,200-$1,300 rent. That's what we needed to start it from the beginning. Right. But we had to learn a lesson. We got to get punched in the mouth a little bit to go from there. But C&D, going back to the question, C&D Tires is Chew and Daisy. It's just their initials, and at the end of the day, it'll be their legacy that they leave behind.
Okay, and then what year would you say you started taking more responsibility and taking over more of the family business and taking over the name?
Oh, that's an elongated question. But I want to say about when I was 21. Yeah, 21. That was 2011.
2011. Same age as me, so yeah.
My father started letting me get, a little more say-so. No control yet. A little more say-so, a little more backbone in the business. But 2013 is where I kind of put my foot down. Because my father was going through a lot of mechanics. Guys who wanted too much money. Guys who didn't know what they said they knew. Right. Too many customers coming back complaining about the jobs. That doesn't look good in a business. So we went through about 5 mechanics before I said, I think I'm going to go to school. I think I'm going to learn how to, learn to be a mechanic the right way. Yeah, all right. So, any mechanic that tells you he knows everything is lying straight to your face. We learn every day. We learn something new every day. Right. But at least going to school, I had the foundation, the base education. Went to MECTech Institute. Shout out to MECTech over on Sand Lake and Orange Blossom Trail.
MECTech, okay.
MECTech Institute, 15 months of working here full time, going to school there full time at night. Started my days at 7 o'clock, ended my days at 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. So those 15 months, we really struggled. Mm-hmm. But my team helped me out. My team in school, my team in the shop, my team at home, they helped me out through it. But when I learned the mechanic side of everything, because at first I was just oil changes and simple stuff. But when I learned the mechanic side of everything, that's when I told my father I need to take more control of the shop.
So you felt like, okay, boom, I'm gonna go get this education. More education.
More education. Yeah.
Figure out everything out. And then you knew your goal was to take over the family business. That's what you wanted to do. Yeah. But the first step was just saying, you're gonna be in car shop where I'm not familiar. What is it, like the lead technician? The lead technician.
Or the lead tech or the master tech. Which is what I am here.
Master Tech. And Master Tech means you know how to do everything, or you can...
Master Tech is that you're certified in all 7 areas of being a mechanic. At this point, I only have 2 or 3, but that's my own laziness from not going to take the tests. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I needed that education to even get to being a lead tech, the tech in the shop, So coming back from that education definitely helped me understand how to make more money here, and also helped me understand what I needed in my shop to make more money.
Right.
So That's 2013, at 23 years old, was the turning point where I kind of demanded a little bit more of myself and demanded that my father left me a little bit more of responsibility.
Right.
No matter how much he wanted to hold on to it. He didn't want to let it go.
That's how they do it. And then, so after that, now you got the education you needed. Now you working in the shop. You back here working. When was the point you started to take over, in a sense?
So that
23, you starting to take things more serious. Your father already went through a lot of other mechanics.
Yeah.
Y'all been through that part. Now you in position. You're 23. How long did it take to take the next level?
Well, that's another couple of years. There, from 23, my father was still at the shop on the day-to-day. I was still at the shop day-to-day. Like the good old saying, too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Right.
He wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be the boss. We bump heads a lot. But when he finally handed over the keys, I was about 25. And when I say hand over the keys, I just mean in a sense where, okay, take control of everything except the bank account.
Okay, right.
Except the bank account.
Right.
So at 2015 is when we moved in here. We moved into this shop and we had let go of a good mechanic. So my father.
For what reason?
So my father could come back into the picture. So he could come he really wanted to be here to be more part of the business, not to take anything away from me, but because he loves being here. Right. He loves working with his son the same way I would imagine that I would love working with my son.
Right.
But there's always a power struggle. There was always a power struggle when he was here.
In most family businesses.
But that's normal. You know, I feel like things should be done one way. He feels like things should be done his way. But at the end of the day, we let go of that good mechanic because he wanted to come back to the shop. But that only lasted a few months. We were going through a hard time before coming here. Coming here was a shot in the dark. Coming here was a Hail Mary, fourth quarter, 5 seconds on the clock.
Right, okay.
Coming here was our last effort of maybe succeeding. And so he told our other mechanic, hey, listen, I'm gonna have to let you go. That only lasted about 6 months. My father realized he had to go back to his other business, which is his trucking business.
Right.
Shout out to trucking services.
C&D trucking as well.
C&D, it's all over the place. When he came back, it only lasted about 6 months because financially we couldn't cut it.
Okay.
Financially, house bills, shop bills, it all needed more support. There wasn't enough to go around at that time. So my father went back to his trucking business, as much as it hurt him to, and we called our mechanic back up. And that mechanic is the mechanic that's still with me to this day. My right-hand man, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. I
know Kevin, man. Kevin's a real good dude, man. Should have been here today. We would have got you on here, but maybe next time.
Family responsibilities.
Family responsibility is family first.
But
my fault.
Kevin's my right-hand man. I met Kevin in MechTech.
Okay.
We went to school together. He needed a job, needed a mechanic.
Right. And he was good at what he did.
The stars aligned.
Right.
And he's still here with me to this day, 7 years later, six years later, sorry. And that's when my dad left here, that's when I got a little more control.
Okay, so now in this time, was it more control and the bank account?
Somewhat of the bank account.
So now you're at the somewhat part.
Now I know what comes in every day, but I'm not controlling what goes out every day.
Okay.
And if I control what goes out every day, I tend to be, as a business owner, I'm stingy, which is part of being a good business owner. You got to know when to be stingy. You got to know when to spread the love.
Right.
And my dad, with all the goodness in his heart, just spread the love a little too much sometimes. But that's where I get it from.
Right.
That's where I get it from. And once I got a little more control of the bank account, which is probably another year down the road.
Right.
things started coming into picture, and not because I took it away from my dad, but because as a business owner, you need to know what's coming in and what's going out.
Right.
If I don't know the full spectrum of what's going out, you know, what's my total cost on a month? I don't know what I need to make to keep the doors open. So once I figured out, okay, this is my total cost, this is my bottom line, now I can make the business go to where it needs to go.
Okay.
But that comes with its past mistakes too.
Yeah, let's get into past mistakes. What did you find out when you were taking over?
Well, when things weren't done the right way, and really to nobody's fault, it's just lack of education. You know, taxes weren't done the right way, accounting wasn't done the right way. You know, things you pay people for to do.
Right.
And you trust them, and you think, okay, this is getting taken care of. Well, that came to bite me in the end.
I wouldn't say the end, but it came to bite you later.
It came to bite me later, yeah, because there ain't no end in sight yet.
Right.
And so and I said the word taxes. Taxes is what hurt me.
Yeah, taxes is important when you in business. You better file them or they will come for you,
IRS, Department of Revenue.
They will come for you guys if y'all do not file your taxes. That's one thing in business. When you run into business, you better file your taxes.
And we had to learn that the hard way.
Explain that.
Well,
Explain if you don't do your taxes, what can happen?
If you don't do your taxes and you don't trust the accountant, or if you trust your accountant and your accountant's taking advantage of you, then you run into a problem. A problem that you might not know about this year or the next year or maybe the following one after that.
Right.
But when they come and they're gonna get theirs. So Department of Revenue came after me.
It's the IRS.
No, the IRS ain't as bad as the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Department of Revenue is sales tax.
Right.
IRS is taxes at the end of the year, federal taxes, just pretty much reporting.
Okay.
But the Department of Revenue, they want their cut. They want their, here in our county, they want their 6.5% of everything. And my assumption was when I was paying my accountant, he was taking my money, he was putting it where it was supposed to be put, reporting it the way it was supposed to be reported, and that was the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an accountant, what do I know? I don't know what these numbers mean until I educated myself after that scare. So the Department of Revenue came at me for back sales taxes for 2 years. And they don't come with a warning. Well, maybe they come with a warning. They come with a warning once or twice. I don't really know what that means. I don't speak legal. I don't speak lawyers. I speak cars.
Mm-hmm.
But I educated myself on that afterwards, and now I understand everything they send at me. And when they came with their warnings, I thought I had some time, and they froze my account and took everything I had in my account.
Okay.
And they left me with negative $5,000 in my account.
And if you don't mind asking, what did you have in there before when they took it?
Let's just say
It was over and under.
I should say it was under 20, but over 10.
Okay.
At the end of the day, which in our position, even right now, those numbers hurt.
They hurt anybody.
They hurt anybody. You know, a 1,000 is too much.
If you're a small business, those numbers do hurt. You know, you do got to watch out for that. So now you in the hole. You in the hole. They froze the accounts. Now you in the negative 5,000. What's going through your mind?
Well, in the negative a little bit more than 5,000, because my bill money was there, my rent money was there, my parts money was there. They took it all. So Kevin has a nice way of explaining it. He says, when I saw my bank account that day, and tonight it's a nice way now. It's a nice way of looking at it now in retrospect that I got through it. But in that moment, it wasn't nice. Kevin says that I hung up the phone, I punched my counter, he said everything lifted off the counter for a little bit. Might have been a little bit of exaggeration, but it's definitely how it felt.
Okay.
So you make phone calls. You figure out what position you're in. How do you handle this situation? Are you going to be able to make it through? Bankruptcy crosses your mind. Closing of shop crosses your mind. Everything.
Right.
We have a saying here in C&D, and it's from one of our favorite movies. We do what we do best. We improvise. So I hope they're not watching or listening now. They got their money anyway. But I used my personal account and funneled all the money through my personal account, and slowly started paying off that little debt.
Right.
You know, started adding back and taking away from the negative 5,000, because that money they took, I was never seeing it again.
Right.
That's theirs, and if they wanted me to unfreeze the account, then I had to make up for that money.
So you ended up paying it. You just paid it at your rate, your time, how you know.
I paid it at my leisure. Well, not so much at my leisure, because you know how banks work too. You got negative 5,000. You need to come up with this, or else we're going to close your bank account as well.
Right.
So I ended up opening a Square account. Before, we used to use big processing companies. I opened up a Square account. Square at that time was my lifeline for small business.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of putting everything through the business bank, I had to finesse the system, and I put everything through my personal account.
You just had to do what you had to do.
I was in survival mode. I would go to the bank every day, and whatever was deposited, I would pull it out. Whatever got deposited the next day, I would pull it out of the account, and make decisions from there what I was going to do with my money.
And then you finally got out of that hole. And how long did that take you?
Well, that process, paying the money, because after them freezing my accounts, there were still penalties. So I want to say that probably took me about a year to get through that. That was my first. I always say they waited till I took over to give me all that stress. I feel like that was my first real test.
Right.
And we got through it. We got through that one, and I thought I was good, and we kept moving.
So now you out the hole. Took you a year. So after it took you a year, that took you a year just to get out the hole with them. How about as far as the employees? How'd you pay them? How'd you make that work through that year? Like, you was paying the employees and paying. Did you pay yourself? Like, how'd you make it work?
Well, early on, and I gotta give another shout out. I don't know if he's gonna see this video or not. Adan. He was my Kevin before Kevin. He was my dad's Kevin. He was my dad's right hand man. That man went sometimes weeks without getting paid. But his loyalty to my father outweighed all of that. Because he knows if he needed some money, he'd ask my dad for, hey, let me get a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. My dad would give it to him, even if it hurt him. Even if it hurt my dad would say, listen, I owe this guy this money, I gotta give him this money. We used to, back then, I guess to minimize accumulating money and minimize forgetting to pay people or whatever my dad's reasoning was. Maybe my grandfather did it like this back in the day, because my dad learned all his business from my grandfather, and my grandfather was a successful businessman. May he rest in peace. He would pay us day to day, every day. So if I got paid, if my salary was $80 a day, instead of getting $400, $500 at the end of the week, my dad would pay us every day. But there's days he couldn't pay us, weeks he couldn't pay us. But how am I gonna ask my dad for money?
Right.
I'm living under his roof, living under his, he feeds me, I got a roof over my head, I got a bed to sleep in. How am I gonna ask my dad for money when I know what my dad's going through?
Yeah.
And my dad's right-hand man, Alang, was the same way. His loyalty to my father was just like Kevin's loyalty to me. And so we continued here to pay employees day by day. But I couldn't see myself taking money and not pay my employee.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, this is mine. You know, at the end of the day, if he leaves, and he doesn't have a job, I still have this. You know, his family depends on me to eat. I mean, yeah, his family depends on me to provide food for them and eat. You know, so there was months that I didn't get paid. I ran up credit card bills, my personal credit cards, but my guys could never miss a check.
Right.
No, I don't care if my account was negative 10, 20, 30,000. I'll take out a loan. My guys can't miss a check. They're waking up every morning to come work for me. And that's just not the way it works. They got to get paid.
Right.
So we got through that. Yeah, rent went behind. Light bills went behind. Cable bill went behind. There's plenty of times where water got cut here, light got cut here. There was a day that I worked here without light the entire day. All hand tools, working on the floor, electric tools, no compressor.
Whoa.
We got to do what we got to do.
Got to do everything with the hand.
That's it. Yeah, no lifts because the lifts work on electricity. So you got to cut corners, but to keep the doors open, that's part of the journey. That's keeping the doors open. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, it seems like you've been through a lot, and you figured, and you've been through the mud. So let's get into, you know, what you guys actually offer here, so the people know if they want to ever get their car worked on. Let's go down a list of things that you actually do here.
Well, like I tell everybody, I like to be a one-stop shop. I may not know everything, but if I don't know it, I know somebody who does. But I do it all here. I do general mechanic work, heavy duty mechanic work. If I got tools for it, I'm gonna put my hands on it. Big trucks. My family owns a trucking company. I put work in on some of the trucks as well, up until, you know, my tools allow. Tires, oil changes, brakes, tune-ups, engine swaps, transmission swaps, upgrades to the car. You want to raise the vehicle, you want to lower the vehicle, you want to put lights all around it. We do it all here, man. We also really got a brand new contract started last year with the Department of Motor Vehicles. I was blessed to get that contract. Okay. We install breathalyzers for the Department of Motor Vehicle through a third-party company.
Don't drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive, or else you're gonna have to come see me. So that contract was a blessing. That came in big, but
so basically, if somebody gets a DUI and all that, and they got to put that in their car, they come to your shop to put it in.
They either come to. I mean, there's a couple of shops out there. There's quite a few, but I'm one of the many independent contractors for the Department of Motor Vehicles that does install breathalyzers. So I do not recommend drinking and driving. Get an Uber, it's a lot cheaper than a DUI.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, man, that's just another thing that we added to our arsenal last year, and it's been a blessing. And every day I learn something new, and we add something new to the shop. We do music installations, thanks to Kevin. That's Kevin's area of expertise. I do not mess around with that, but Kevin knows his way around a sound system. So it's also what your team brings to you as well.
Yeah.
It's not just what I bring, it's what my team brings, what my friends bring. We do it all thanks to the team that I got here. God willing, we'll keep rolling into 2021 like this. We're coming up on slow season, but I expect it to be slow. Holiday season. But God willing, 2021, I bring the third guy in, and one more guy means more work and more money.
Man, that's
Hopefully.
lovely. So besides all of that, what's the overall plan for you? You want to open, you want to get this thing rolling with 3 people. You want to look for, what do you see C&D in 15, 20 years?
Oh, so I see C&D.
You want to open more locations? You want to...
Maybe not another location. Hey, you never know. If I ever open up another location, it's because I'm leaving Kevin in charge here. It's the only person, I tell people all the time, it's the only person I trust with my business. I trust him not to say anything about mom and dad. I love my mom and dad, and without them I wouldn't be in the position I am today. Like my father says, he gave me the foundation. He throws it in my face all the time. But I trust Kevin more with my business than I trust my parents because he's here on the day-to-day with me. He knows how I do things. I taught him how I do things. So if I ever open another location, it's because I've left Kevin with my first location. And
I think that's fine. I just
yeah,
don't know if you want to.
I would love to, but I would much rather see myself in instead of a 3-bay shop. When I say 3-bay, and there's a lift right here to my right, which is the newest addition to our shop this year. Instead of a 3-bay shop, maybe a 6 or 7-bay shop with maybe, instead of 3 mechanics, maybe 5 mechanics, including myself. And yeah, just keep expanding. This is my family's legacy, and I take that serious. And more, when I say my family, this is my grandfather's legacy. Like what I mentioned before, my grandfather passed away 3 years ago. Without his financial support, Four Corners Car Care wouldn't have started, which means C&D Tires' first location wouldn't have started, which means C&D Tires' second location wouldn't have even existed, and I wouldn't be in the position to where I am today. So if I fail here, I'm failing my grandfather, I'm failing my father, my brothers and sisters, because at the end of the day, my family eats from here, Kevin's family eats from here, my future employees' families are going to eat from here, and it'll put what my grandfather set in motion in vain if I don't expand. It's all about the journey, right?
It's all about the journey.
Growing. So my biggest growing here, like I tell my father, this new lift that I have here was my first major purchase as a business owner. All the other equipment that's in here, my father purchased. So this is my hard work. This lift right here is my hard work, being able to put money to the side and get another lift to be able to provide more services and expand financially. So if I can move into 10, 15 years down the road, if I can move into a 6-bay shop, 5-bay shop, and still maintain my clientele, because whenever you move, as much as you would love to say you keep all your clients, you lose some of your clients.
You do.
I learned that here. But that's the future, man. I have a franchise auto repair shop next door to me, Tuffy Auto Repair. Good guys over there, no bad blood held against them. They're my neighbors. Yeah, we're competition, but they're my neighbors. There's plenty of cars on the road to fix. But they need to eat just like I need to eat. And if there's ever an opening for a shop just like that, I'd take it. Take it in a heartbeat if financially I could. Because a shop set up like that I feel like it's every mechanic's dream. Having multiple bays, multiple workstation, multiple guys. And I'll never be the type of mechanic or the type of owner to just sit in the office all day. I'm gonna be out in the shop, getting my hands dirty. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the office because that's my responsibility as an owner.
Right.
But my dream is to have a shop 5, 6 bays like the one that's right next door to me. Maybe somewhere else.
Or even bigger.
Or even bigger, man. At multiple locations, if the C&D Empire grows that big, God willing, I can see myself in multiple locations. But you never want to spread yourself too thin. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna take care of your business the way you take care of it. And yeah, man, that's where I see myself in 10, 15 years in a bigger shop. I love this shop. I always tell my father, this is my shop.
Right. You came here, you did a lot of work here.
The last shop was your shop, and I love that shop. I got a lot of memories in that shop. That's where we started. But this one right here, this is mine. And I'll never forget this shop.
Well, Jesus, man, that was a beautiful story, man. Appreciate you being on the show. The first episode ever, all about the journey. Filmed by my man E.T. You know what I'm saying? Blash Productions. Blash Frenchie's on the way. Anybody want to talk about shout out right now?
Shout out my team. Shout out my team. Shout out my family. Mom and Dad, Jesus, Daisy. Without you guys, it's like you always say, Dad, you gave me this. You gave me this foundation. Without this foundation, I wouldn't be there. And Mom, you do so much behind the scenes work nobody sees. This place wouldn't be open if it wasn't for you. And shout out to my brother and sister who've always supported me, who made me feel like a great big brother, a great role model. Caitlin, Lucas, Madison, I love you guys. And shout out to my team, Kevin, Jonel, my past guys, Adan, Giovanni. Without them either, man, the doors wouldn't be open because I can't do it all. As good as I am, I can't do it all. And shout out to even my car club, car club family. If I ever need them here, they make anything possible to come through and help me with whatever I need them with. And shout out to the wife, man, the best for last. That if I didn't have you to pick me up all those years, I wouldn't be here where I am. If I didn't have your emotional support, if I didn't have your attitude in the background,
Yeah, everybody need to go with that one.
if I didn't, if I just didn't have you in general,
Right.
I wouldn't be here where I am today. And I love you, Aisha. I wouldn't be here without you.
And kids, you want to talk about? No kids yet?
Nah, no kids yet, but that's all in good time.
Okay.
That's all in good
I'm
time.
not trying to put you on the spot. No pressure. I ain't got none either. But
Hey, I got plenty of pressure coming from my father. He wants to be a granddad already, and God willing, let's see.
Well, Jesus, man, I appreciate interviewing, man. It's all about the journey.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, man.
Yes, sir, man. All about the journey. Filmed by ET, Blash Productions. You already know what it is.
C&D Ties.
Yep, that's like that. We're gone.
I got my bitch up from rain. I got my bitch up from rain. I got my bitch up from rain. I got my bitch up from
This your boy Blash. Thanks for watching today's episode. Like, comment, subscribe. We on all platforms. Follow us on